Magic Shop by Bree, Havanna, and Saheli. In the dim-lit hallway, a hunched figure was slowly approaching the door to her dorm room. She looked worn out and sick. She had dark circles under her sleepy eyes. Her face was pale like snow, and her legs were trembling after having to walk around all day. She was shivering, not due to the cold, but due to the exhaustion. After hesitating in front of the door for a minute, she sighed, fumbled with her keys, and entered the dorm, slamming the door behind her. After sighing for the upteenth time that day, I entered my dorm. As I looked around, the sight that greeted me was equal to an aftermath of a tornado. Clothes, both dirty and clean, were strewn everywhere. The table had countless boxes of Chinese takeout that hadn't been touched. Books were piling up on both the table as well as the bed, which hadn't been made in weeks. I immediately felt calm at the familiar space, even if it resembled a garbage can. I headed straight to the kitchen sink to at least wash the dishes before I crashed for the day. The beautiful silence of the room was broken by the shrill ring of my phone. Out of instinct, I reached in my back pocket and answered the call without checking the ID, already knowing who it would be.
Army?
My manager yelled loudly in my ear, which made me wince. "Can I help you, sir?" I replied calmly, not caring about my bored tone.
I need you to work harder during your shifts. You have to put more effort and time into your work. Why are you so lousy at everything you do? I'm losing customers here.
My manager started quite calmly, but proceeded to yell by the end of his rant. I sighed and rolled my eyes, because even though he puts all the blame on me, everyone who works there knows it's his attitude that drives away customers, and the only reason why the business hasn't already shut down is due to my hard work. However, the harsh words did pierce my heart, and I could feel my self-esteem stooping lower than it already was. "I'm sorry, sir. I have studies which I have to focus on. I have other part-time jobs as well, so I can't really put in more effort and time than I already do. I'm tired, so please, let's talk tomorrow," I said as politely as I could, and hung up before he could start whining like a small child. The peaceful atmosphere at the apartment was gone, and I could feel myself drain as reality started to creep back into my safe bubble. I placed my hands beside the sink and stared at the dirty water. I felt the silent tears rolling down my face as I started to feel overwhelmed by everything that was happening. "Gee, Army, it was just a phone call. Why are you getting so emotional like some 6-year-old? Pathetic," I scoffed, and watched as the tear slipped into the dark drain, getting mixed up in the murky water and losing itself. "I'm eventually going to fall like that tear, to the point where I don't know if I could go on any longer," I thought bitterly. I knew where this was going, but I had no strength in my mind to drive my thoughts into a different, more positive direction. As the sobs rocked my shaking body, I half threw my phone, which I was holding after ending the call, down onto the kitchen counter. As if my luck wasn't already bad to begin with, my phone, the only mode of connection I had to the one thing that truly made me happy, fell into the sink with a mocking splash. The world seemed to tilt and go strangely silent as I processed what happened. Rage and sadness like I've never felt before filled my lonely heart, and I could feel my hands start to shake violently. "That's it," I thought bitterly. "I'm really finally over." I hit the counter hard with my free hand, screaming while doing so. I turned around quickly and ran to my bed, the pit of anxiety and anger in my stomach growing like a parasite. Out of instinct, I reached to the windowsill where my radio was sitting and pushed the play button. Soft musical notes, which I immediately recognized as the intro to one of my personal favorite songs, Magic Shop, started to fill the silence of the room that was starting to become too loud, and the dam broke. I buried my face into my purple whale plushie and started sobbing. I ugly cried for what seemed like hours, days, or maybe even weeks, before my irritated and sore eyes finally flooded to a close, and the world turned dark. The first thing I saw as I woke up with a gasp was the high white ceiling that definitely did not belong to my dorm room. I slowly took in my surroundings. I was in a huge white room that only had a small bed, also white, which I was currently sitting on, and a small bedside table. There were no lights visible, but the room was so white that it hurt to look at. Am I in heaven? I thought, and then, oh my god, did I die? Trying not to panic, I slowly got up from the bed when I noticed something small on the white table. A black note. It stood out like a sore thumb in the blindingly white room, so I was surprised that I didn't notice it before. I reached towards the note and cautiously opened it.
I left a purple balloon in your dream. Look it up. V. V. The name sounded oddly familiar to me, but I couldn't place what it was. Lost in my thoughts, I almost shrieked when I heard a soft clang behind me. I was expecting the absolute worst when I turned around. What I wasn't expecting was to find a single purple balloon, which definitely wasn't there when I first woke up, tied up to one of the bedposts. The soft clanking came from a key that was tied to the string of the balloon. What the heck is happening here? Wait, this has to be connected to the note. Loud. I slowly approached the key and touched it. It wasn't cold like I expected it to be, but quite warm. As soon as I untied the key from the balloon, the front wall started to shift, causing me to shriek for real this time. As I watched, a door shaped like two trapezoids appeared out of nowhere. This also looked quite familiar, but again, I couldn't remember. I slowly walked towards it and tried not to freak out too much about the way the doors open automatically. The other side was absolutely mesmerizing. The door opened straight into how a dock would look like in an imaginary world. There was a normal wooden dock, but instead of the ocean and the sky, a pitch black void filled with countless purple glowing lights surrounded it. I looked back and did a double take when I saw that the weirdly shaped doors had disappeared.
Trying my very best not to have a panic attack, I peeked over the edge of the wooden bridge I was standing on and saw another trapezoid-shaped door. This one was flipped, about 100 feet down from where I was. I had a feeling that the only way to get out of here would be to jump, and I definitely wasn't in a hurry to do that. At least the bridge is still here, I thought. I sat down at the edge and waited for a way out to appear for what felt like eternity. But of course, instead of getting what I wanted at least once in my life, the bridge began to disappear slowly, plank by plank. Well, she tapped the bushes. This time I let myself panic. Screaming, I ran towards the other end of the wooden bridge to get as far away from the disappearing side. Despite my attempts at running away, the bridge kept disappearing plank by plank until there were only 5 more planks left, until I would inevitably fall to my death. I looked up and prayed to every god and deity I knew or heard of, with promises of praying often and becoming a better person. Before I could prepare myself, I felt the wooden plank underneath my feet disappear, and I started to scream like a banshee. It felt like I was hauled from the heavens above, and now I was nearing my end at breakneck speed. As I saw the doors get closer, I closed my eyes and wait for the impact of the fall to kill me. However, it never came. Instead, I felt a bright light through my closed eyes as if someone was holding a flashlight against them. And then I was engulfed in a warm hug. As soon as I felt this hug, it was gone and my feet hit the solid ground. What is going on? I was so confused and scared at this point that I seriously contemplated keeping my eyes closed. But curiosity killed the cat, so I opened my eyes, fully expecting to have landed in another dreadful situation. However, the sight that greeted me was anything but. I was in another room, and this one looked a lot like a library. There were rows and rows of bookshelves, comfy chairs, and beanbags and mini tables. There was a small cart that looked like a candy shop in one corner. Countless pictures and notes covered the walls that were decorated with fairy lights. The whole place had a warm and comforting feeling that I couldn't quite comprehend. What really drew my attention was the huge glass wall at the front. The view outside knocked the breath out of me, billions of stars shining in the jet-black sky, which was reflecting in the calm ocean. It was magical. In a trance, I inched towards the wall while memories of stargazing with my family came back to me. I remember how we used to go on picnics at night because I loved the stars so much. I remember how my dad bought me a huge telescope for my 9th birthday that made my mom mad because it was way outside their budget. I remember how excited I was when they took me to watch a meteor shower, the first of many to come. I remembered Hello, a voice said next to me. As if I haven't already done so a million times in the past few hours, I let out an embarrassingly loud shriek and jumped back a few feet. Standing in front of me, adorning a smirk, was a gorgeous young man. He had big, dark brown eyes that twinkled in the starlight and dark hair that fell past his ears. There were multiple piercings on his ears, and there were 2 piercings placed on his right eyebrow. His smirk fell, and he smiled wide, showing off a bunny smile. That's when I recognized who the person was. John Cook! I almost screamed again. Took you long enough, Armia, he laughed. What are you? How am I? Where is? My mind was spinning with a million questions. We'll answer your questions soon. Come with me first, Jungkook answered excitedly, and started to walk away. We? What do you mean we? You mean... Still rooted to the spot, I asked Jungkook disbelievingly. Questions later, Armia. Come on, let's go, JK added, and grabbed my arm, pulling me toward what must be the center of the room. This is crazy, I thought to myself, and went along with him. A few minutes later, we were standing in front of a large table occupied by 6 other men. All of them were chatting, bickering, and laughing with each other. The scene was so familiar to me, except this time I wasn't seeing them through a screen, but in real life. Come and take a seat, Armia, Jungkook said, and went ahead.
Sat on the empty seat on the left to Seokjin. His hair was dyed a light purple and was parted in the middle. He truly did live up to his nickname, worldwide handsome. Sitting on Seokjin's right were Taeyang and Jimin, both of them competitively eating from a bag of honey twist chips. They both stopped and looked over at me when Seokjin gave them a good glare. Taeyang's boxy smile and Jimin's eye smile showed after the surprise wore off. Next to Jimin was Hoseok, who was smiling so widely it almost hurt to look at. God, am I experiencing the Hobie effect? I shook my head. At the other end of the table was Namjoon, his hair dyed blue and bangs pushed off his face. He was radiating authority with just the way he was holding himself up. Yoongi was sitting next to him. His hair was dyed a cool mint green and his bangs were covering his forehead. His infamous gummy smile appeared on his face as my eyes met his. My mind was so overwhelmed with confusion and amazement that I just simply kept staring at them. These 7 people were my idols, my only inspiration in life. They always felt like unicorns to me because I never expected to meet them in real life. And yet, here they were, talking and acting so casually around me like we've known each other forever. Aren't you going to sit down? Jungkook remarked and laughed a little when I stumbled as he broke my train of thoughts. I went over to the chair that stood at the head of the table and slowly sat down, not taking my eyes off of any of the members. I stared at them, and they stared right back at me. Where am I? I blurted. Real smooth, Army, real smooth. Here you are in front of the people that you admire the most, and the first thing you say is, where am I? And they're your elders too. Where are your manners, girl? I thought to myself by blushing under their curious gazes.
You haven't figured it out yet? JK asked, looking confused, and I answered him with my own bewildered face. Well, where do you think you are? Namjoon asked in his calm and assuring voice. I started to think out loud and tried not to get distracted. Okay, well, let's see. The room, the note by V, the key, the trapezoid doors, the purple lights, and finally this room. And then, wait, the note by V, V as in Kim Taeyong V, and the balloon, the purple balloon, and the trapezoid doors. I laughed at my own stupidity. They weren't trapezoids. They were our logos, weren't they? But how is that even related? Like, why? I froze as my mind cleared and the memories of my horrible day rushed back to me. The wild kids, the late shift, the phone call from my manager, my broken phone, and my stupid Magic shop, I whispered out. My eyes started to water as I realized what I was about to do before I somehow got transported here. It should have been embarrassing, with the way I started to cry again, and I should have been flustered when they all hugged me. But all I felt was comfort and love. You saved me, I sobbed out. Again. No, this is you saving yourself, Armia. This is Magic Shop. You are saving yourself, Yoongi assured with a kind smile. Why is it so hard, Oppa? Why can't I catch a break? I asked through tears. And then I proceeded to tell them my story from the beginning. I kept my head down while talking and cried harder at some points, but they kept listening and comforting me through it all. By the end of it, they all looked sad and a bit shaken, so I felt guilty. I'm sorry, I ranted, didn't I? I asked them with a grimace and wiped my tears. They all looked at me with alarmed faces. No, don't be sorry, Army. You can tell us anything. We'll listen to you. Remember what we always say. We want to know your story and how you found us, Namjoon answered with wide eyes. The tears started to fall again at their sincere words. It's just so nice to have someone to talk to again, I mentioned through my tears. It's been so long since I talked with anyone, much less have a friend. It's probably why I'm crying so much, I laughed bitterly. You don't have friends? But I don't see any problem with you, and you're amazing. So why would no one talk to you? Hobie asked, looking concerned. I giggled, despite the bitter feeling in my gut. It's not anyone's fault, Oppa. It's mine. I work from morning to night, and I'm always exhausted. I'm always in work mode, and don't have time to eat, much less for fun. I look like a stick, and my self-care has hit an all-time low. Not to mention the fact that I have family and financial issues. Now tell me who would want to be friends with someone like me, I muttered, sinking more into myself with every word that leaves my mouth. Armia, don't you think you should love and appreciate yourself? And I mean all of you, if you want others to love you? Stockton asked with a disappointed look. I just stared at him. Look, you stood up for yourself against your parents so that you could go on your own path. That must have taken a lot of courage. Not only that, but you are still continuing your fight against the world every day, even after 2 years. You didn't give up, even when it was hard. I don't think a lot of people can do that, Jimin stated.
Exactly. And while others your age are partying and having fun every day, not that there's anything wrong with that, you're here dedicating all that time to your work so you can one day live up to your dreams. I personally think that it's inspiring, Namjoon added. Yeah, but Oppa, don't you butt me, girl. Don't you see just how much you put yourself down right now? You're working so hard to achieve your dreams. Isn't that admirable? Seokjin asked in a stern but gentle tone. Wow, I never really saw it like that. I guess my weak state and the constant need to take breaks and give up has been eating me away for a long time now, I said as the tears streamed down my face, overwhelmed by their support. But I'm honestly scared for my future, Oppa. What if everything goes down the drain? How would I face my parents? And the fact that I'm losing motivation is killing me because what if it was all for nothing? What will I do then? I asked them, not caring that I was being so vulnerable in front of the 7 men that I just met. I trusted them with my whole being. Hobie sighed and thought for a second. Then he took me to the wall covered in pictures and notes. Everyone followed us. As I got closer, I could see that the pictures were moving. They weren't pictures, but all of my important memories. I was flabbergasted after the realization. Armia, look at this whole wall. Since the day you started your life journey, you have been nothing but brave and determined. You could have taken the easy road when your parents gave you a choice, but you didn't. You chose the path that was less traveled, which makes all the difference, Hobie noted, pointing at the memory of a tear-faced me leaving the house to go face the world all alone. And there's nothing wrong with losing motivation. We get tired, frustrated, and angry every once in a while, and that's normal. It may seem like you're losing your dream and passion, but that's not true. You wouldn't have come this far for a dream that wasn't true, Taeyang mentioned while looking at the countless memories of me picking myself back up after a break.
You have worked so hard all your life for that day, so never give up on a dream that you've been chasing almost all your life, Jimin said while pointing at the many memories of me pulling all-nighters to complete my work after late shifts. I believe it's better to die than live without passion. Don't you agree? Jungkook addressed me and smiled when I nodded. It was true. I would be nothing without my dreams and passion. I say, when things get hard, stop for a while and look back to see how far you've come. Don't forget how rewarding it is. Remember that you are the most beautiful flower, more than anyone else in the world, Taeyong said while pointing at the day when I got a standing ovation after a performance. Contrary to what most others say, I don't think that life is about being perfect. If you really think about it, no one can or ever will be perfect. because that's just how society works. They judge you no matter what. I think life is about going on a journey to achieve our goals, and in the process, we connect with ourselves and learn how to love ourselves just the way we are while facing countless trials and obstacles, Namjoon conveyed while reading one of the notes on the wall, which I realized were actually pages from my journal. I didn't mind. Most of them were about me wondering about what life is actually about, or complaining about my days. What we are really trying to say here is that you matter, and that your presence gives happiness. Even though you're not perfect, you with your scars and tears are still beautiful, Sakchin said with a kind smile, his hands running over a memory of me dancing like an octopus at my 14th birthday party. I smiled at seeing my happy face. It's been so long. And Armia, don't let other people's opinions and perspectives get to you. Don't let the world break you. You're too young for that. Be what you want to be, not what others want you to be, because your life belongs to no one but you, Yoongi added, while looking at me with his sincere and understanding eyes. I don't know how much time I spent with them in that room. We went through all my memories and notes. Some made me laugh, while others made me cry. Some made me want to disappear, while others made me so proud. Throughout the time, the 7 men, which at this point I was at home with, kept giving me advice and encouraged me to keep going. They even shared some of their personal experiences with me, and I felt so honored that they trusted me. I felt loved and comforted, feelings that I haven't felt since the day I left the comforts of my family. Even though I should be tired with all the walking and socializing, I only felt well rested. Soon, it became apparent to me that for whatever reason I had to leave. Well, this was fun, Jungkook commented while finishing his hot chocolate. Jin made some for all of us. I didn't know how much I missed this drink until I drank it today. Remember everything we said to you, Armia. No amount of darkness or season can last forever. The winter will end soon, and spring will come. Hold on tight till then, Jimin said while starting to get up from his beanbag chair. With the rest of the members, I got up. I was feeling down that this moment had to end. How I wish I could spend a bit more time with them. I felt like I could conquer the whole world if they were with me. Do I have to leave? I'm gonna miss you, I announced, trying my best not to tear up again. Hey, look at me, Sakjin said firmly but gently, holding onto my shoulders. I looked up at him through my tear-filled eyes. I'll always be here for you, even in your worst moment. You are always welcome here any time of the day, when you feel alone, sad, or you're just in need of a hug. We'll always be here for you, he said with a wide smile. He pulled me in for another hug, and the others joined. They were the brothers I never had, and I was beyond grateful for them. You'll always be here, won't you? You'll never leave me or any other armies, right? I asked, my voice a bit muffled due to the hug.
Of course we will. You can't just come into someone's life, make them feel special, and then leave.
Taeyong affirmed while flashing his boxy smile. Standing them was the best decision I've ever made. I'm so lucky, I thought to myself with a smile. We broke the hug when I started to feel sleepy out of nowhere. I started to panic a bit. What's happening to me? I asked them, and panicked a bit more when I heard how tired and drained I sounded. I was 5 mere seconds ago.
To panic, Amiya. You have to leave the magic shop now. That's why you feel sleepy, Hobie said with an assuring smile. He took me to one of the couches and told me to lie down. I hope we helped you in some way, Amiya. We had fun. I hope you did too. Please remember how important you are and give yourself more credit. Come back anytime. We'll be waiting here for you. I personally hope you'll come back soon, Jungkook added, looking a bit sad, like the other members. I will, Oppa. Thank you so much for all the advice you gave me. I promised you that I will improve. I won't let you down. I responded with a smile but also fighting back tears. That's my girl, Yoongi said proudly. I might have died a little. My eyes were closing fast. I took one last look at them, my idols, my role models, and now my unofficial brothers. Together? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Forever, they replied, all together. Once again, the world turned dark. I will be happy, I tell myself as I fall into a deep slumber.